like to call to order the Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 meeting of the Monona Landmarks Commission. Laura's got the roll.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, November 19th, 2024. So I will make. Is there a second?
Second.
Adjourn. All right. Looking through the minutes, does anyone have any suggestions for changes, anything at all? No. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, all right. We do have one appearance tonight. Rick, are you hoping to appear? Okay, great.
Yeah,
Go right
I'll
ahead.
come into the picture here so Ashley can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
I just wanted to report a little bit. The Dane County Heritage Preservation Commission has met a couple times, and the White Horse marker is still very much in the mix. We've been whittling it down in various ways, but it got rated pretty high, so it's a good candidate. I should mention that I just learned that Chief Auto Parts is going to be demolished as part of this new project that we were looking at last night.
You just learned that.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was or not. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
me neither.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's scheduled to be demolished and replaced with some commercial. So the focus would be more on his house, which is next door, I believe, where Deb Whitehorse lives. So we haven't really polled the owners as much as we need to. So without owner approval, we can't really go much farther. I think that's kind of that would probably stop the project in its from going forward.
Just in case folks are watching the recording, can you just sort of give sort of a introduction of what it is that you're speaking about?
Oh, okay. To the many people at home.
You never know.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'll just give my name. My name is Rick Bernstein, and I am part of the Dane County Heritage Preservation Commission that is looking to erect several different markers across the county in terms of underrepresented communities. And the Harry Whitehorse home and studio was one of the nominations.
okay.
And so there are several others, so it's still somewhat competitive. But we're at the point where we've ranked them and we know which ones we think are the most significant and worthwhile pursuing. And the Whitehorse one is in that mix.
And is that location that you're speaking about the house?
It would be, yes.
It would be the house. Okay, and so no matter what would happen, like if the owner were to sell it, or if the owner, I mean, it would just. You're talking.
If we have the owner's permission, yeah.
To
then that
erect
marker
some
would
sort of a
probably-
marker. Yeah,
Probably stay
yeah,
in perpetuity.
sure. That's nice.
Yeah.
It is nice, yeah.
So that's my report. If there are questions.
I'm sad that you didn't mention that you were a former distinguished member of this commission.
Right, I carry that badge with great honor.
Kind of feel a little marginalized. I don't know, like, what, are you not proud of that? It just.
Well, it's just so many things. I don't know which to highlight.
Do you know?
One in Rome.
I think it's like 1200 Broadway.
Yeah, it's right across the street from the side door of Menards. It's something I hadn't, yeah, it's
I was trying to figure out which
kind of
one it was,
light,
because it's
light
not
gray
labeled.
color.
Yeah, here.
Is the studio, yeah.
So, and where's the house behind it?
No, that is,
That's
That
the
is
house.
the house,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
My understanding that's
And do you know who owns it?
So is the, where it says fee cycle, that Chief Auto Parts? Cause that's a house.
yeah, that's Chief Auto Parts. I
Okay, so
think.
that's what's getting torn down and the
Yeah.
house is not?
And
No,
you
know of?
and you
No.
know for certain that the auto parts store is being.
Yeah, that's
demolished?
part of that Broadway project.
Yeah. I saw the plan commission and Sean O'Brien kind of the developer
Okay,
specifically said.
I didn't catch that at our council
They
meeting this
didn't,
night.
they didn't mention
Okay,
it at the council meeting, they
Okay.
mentioned it at the plan commission.
okay, got it.
Absolutely.
All right, great.
So,
Do you know who owns the home?
Deb White.
Deb Whitehorse, the
Oh.
widow of.
Yeah,
Oh, she does.
and she
Yeah.
still lives there. I feel unusual
So you
having
said
this
we would need the owner
conversation without
permission.
her.
It's a no-brainer, I would assume.
I don't know how she feels about markers.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think she'd love to honor
Yeah.
her husband,
And,
but I don't know
and
that.
so is the next step for you just to reach out to her? Okay,
I think our next step, the commission's next step is to poll the owners of the markers that were still under consideration. And if owners don't want the marker, I don't think we pursue it.
oh, no, yeah, I would not.
So
Yeah,
Dane
Dane
County
County.
Heritage would not, your commission, the,
Dane County Heritage Preservation.
Would not
Commission.
pursue it, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would
Okay.
make sense.
Yeah.
Sweet,
That's my report.
that's wonderful,
Sticking to it.
thank you.
You're welcome. I'll resume my place back here.
You can stay here.
No, I don't want to.
All right, fantastic. So moving on to number 5, under unfinished business 5A, discussion of the 2025 Historic Preservation Month planning, the walking tour. Rebecca and I haven't really, well, we haven't met since we last met. So is it enough just to say that we should do that?
yes,
Me.
That sounds good. Yeah,
That's what
let's
you
do
mean.
that and,
yeah.
and then we can, yeah, we'll get that, we'll do that and get that to Ted.
And I have some information that you requested from me, so you asked me to reach out to Neil, check about if we want to find a sponsor for materials. We can do that, we just need to make sure that whoever it is doesn't have a conflict of interest, you know, like
Okay.
upcoming business before. One of a city board
Yeah.
or city council.
Okay.
That's totally fine. And then if we can use the event to fundraise for other projects like markers. Neil said yes, within reason. It's a little difficult when we raise money to earmark it for a specific purpose. And he prefers that if we use like a friends group or another nonprofit organization. Cause then it allows donors to take advantage of the tax benefits for that donation. And they can just control that money with fewer strings attached than the city could. So you know, maybe it would be working with the Dean House or Historic Blooming Grove, you know, encouraging donate to them for the specific purpose of a marker for the city of Monona. That's just an easier way to do it, but we could also get donations directly to the city.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is if we did charge for a tour. We would want to. We'd want to work with an established organization that could,
Well, if we wanna like solicit donations,
okay,
if we're selling tickets for the tour, we
That's
could sell
totally
them, like. Make out a check to the city of Monona.
Yep.
The cost will just be the administrative cost of
having
the event.
Okay.
And we just estimate that.
Okay.
And that money, I don't know if it would go into the general fund or to our landmarks fund. I think it could go. If it's, you know, landmarks funds being used to create the event, it could be a landmarks reimbursement essentially.
Okay.
Just the donation,
Any
we go through that, so like
Okay.
fundraising. It's easier if we go through not an existing nonprofit or
Yeah.
create a friends group.
okay,
As far as our money right now, in our supplies budget, we have $200. In our general landmarks fund, we have $664. And then, and that's more for like professional development for the commission, trainings, memberships, things like that. But we can explore how to use that money. if We need to, and then our books fund has 1,500,
1,500
yeah,
exactly?
well,
Okay.
1,508, yeah.
and book fund meaning
What, book
Raise?
sales?
Yeah,
what we've raised from book sales?
yeah,
We have never known that.
Yeah,
It's a lot of money.
it is,
How much do they cost?
1 million,
I didn't even know we made
yeah.
1,500?
money
I-
off
I-
these books.
That's the current
I
balance.
didn't
Wow.
realize that either.
Yeah. I don't know the accounting trail for that, but that's the money, that's the number I got from Mark.
Okay.
That's right there.
That money earmarked for something specific?
Not that I'm aware of.
So we,
I wonder if, you know, we had a certain allotment, print X number of books, we did that and there was still, you know,
There's all
that
these
much
books
money
still, yeah.
left over.
Yeah.
and it didn't get pushed back into the general fund.
Guess not.
It can't go into our general fund.
I can ask Mark, you know, what the deal is with how that money can be used.
Okay, that would be a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Cause with other committees, if there's a leftover at the end of the fiscal, you know, we turn it back in. So this,
Yeah.
That's funny
Yeah.
that it's been carried over.
Yeah.
Not that I'm
so it's earmarked
advocating
for
for
something.
that, but. Okay,
Yeah, the important thing is probably the supplies, $200. We need to do some printing.
Okay.
We have the budget there.
and what was the 664?
That's our general landmarks fund.
Huh,
So I think that'd be, or if we were like hosting an event and we needed to, and there's an expense associated with that. If we as a commission joined another organization, or, you know, bought a training, it would come out of general landmarks.
Okay,
I think what goes along with this is if we were to do an event prior to our walking tour at Bungalow, and like we had discussed previously, Erica Fox Garrig is now going to be living there. Jan is moved into assisted living. But she is still open to hosting an
I think that would
event
be a
at the
perfect-
cottage, hopefully.
like drinks or snacks or something.
Yeah,
like
if we
that,
wanted
yeah.
to do some type of
Like a reception or
reception.
something, yeah. Be wonderful.
But I gave her the date was Memorial Day weekend, right? And so I gave her that date, so she's here. So not home.
Saving the date. That's wonderful. Anything else about the walking tour? All right, great. 5B, discussion and possible action on Spring Haven Pagoda restoration and preservation.
Okay, I've been kind of ghosted by Legacy Architecture since we asked for more information from them. But I have a new lead from the Conservation of Sculptures and Objects Studio. And it's really promising, I think, because they are kind of maybe like the regional foremost experts, like conservators. So they prepared the treatment strategy for the Annie Stewart Fountain in Madison and are leading that project. I had reached out to them previously about guidance on whether or not we need a treatment plan, and if it's something that they would be interested in providing. And they're interested in taking on the entire project, would like to come up for a site visit, but not until tomorrow. So
Not right
That's
now.
wonderful.
Where are they out of?
Chicago, I believe.
Huh.
That's great.
Yeah, so really promising. It's like two brothers who run the firm and do a lot of work all over the country. It seems like
Tori, you said that they provided you advice before,
I'd reached out to them for advice. When we,
and did you
We weren't sure if we
Yeah.
needed a
Yeah, did you talk
engineer
with
or
them? converse with them or not?
they never provided any feedback.
Okay,
When I asked for advice, they said like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with this structure, like you've reached out previously, probably many years ago. We're interested in this, and then when I pushed for what they meant by that, after some back and forth, they're interested in just taking on the project and want to do a site visit. So I don't know what it'll come to. I've asked for cost estimates, but they haven't provided that yet. And I need to check with the city attorney about. Now that we've already put this project out for bid and didn't receive any bids, if we need to do that again, or if now we're free to just select whoever can, because we've already gone through that process. So we'll work some of those details out and make sure, if we do need to go out for bid, we're not eliminating of the opportunity to hire this firm because we're working with them in some capacity, so. We'll be really careful with that. I just wanted to update the commission on potentially an exciting lead.
It is.
Yeah. So if you wanna look into it on your own time. Well, the conservation of sculptures and objects to you. Yeah. Done work, they do lots of laser cleaning. Like they've worked on the Jefferson Memorial in DC, some old monuments. Andrew Jackson's tomb, in Tennessee, lots of sculptures in Chicago and Milwaukee, St. Louis, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So this, it's just
Gold.
one door. It opens for
Close-
me,
yeah,
then
right,
it closes,
right,
and then a little bit later, another door opens and,
That's right.
yeah,
Oh, wow, that's so interesting.
yeah.
All right, that's exciting.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go on. Number 5C, discussion and possible action on the Royal Airport / Charles Lindbergh landmark marker.
Yeah, so we left off this conversation with wanting to further explore what his legacy is and some of his statements, you know, what are they anti-Semitic and why were they perceived that way? And also looking into grants for potential marker. The State Historical Society had pointed me towards an organization called Wisconsin Humanities, which does small and large grants for nonprofits and governments. I think it will be a really good opportunity for a grant for this program, but unfortunately, they've paused all their grant applications right now because of the federal grant freeze essentially. So I've, you know, subscribed to their listserv to be notified when those grants are active again, but I would that's the only real opportunity I've found so far. And I would encourage us to apply for that once and if it does. And then in the meeting packet, I've included some resources, the speech from President Ford that John had referenced at our last meeting that praises Lindbergh, and acknowledges his political controversy, as well as an overview from the Minnesota Historical Society, who runs the Charles Lindbergh Museum, which is the site of his boyhood home in Minnesota. And that those resources go over his America First views, specifically related to World War II, his travels in Germany, his the perception of anti-Semitism around his views, and his advocacy around the war effort. And then I've included the transcript of his Des Moines speech, that seems to be the primary focal point of his controversy, some of his statements in there. You know, the statements, you know, reference the Jewish race and the that their greatest danger to the country lies in their large ownership and influence in motion pictures, the press, radio, and government. You know, he says that he's not attacking the Jewish people, and he empathizes with their persecution in Germany, but you know, his America First views seem to exclude the Jewish people from being part of what it means to be an American. You know, and it says that their views are not American. The Jewish people of America, just you can get a sense from the speech that he believes the Jewish people advocating for entering the war are doing so out of the interests of themselves and not of America, and he's creating a separation between those two people essentially. So I think we could have a discussion on you know. How we feel about those statements and, you know, how we maybe want to. Acknowledge them with a marker, if we still feel that way.
And if I understood from our previous meeting, we would not be the ones writing or drafting the text of what the marker would say.
We wouldn't have to be, yeah, it would be our own marker, you know, we would have control over it.
Oh,
The State Historical Society would maybe help out, but you know, they would prefer that if we do have another marker that's completely separate from the
Correct.
state marker.
correct.
Can be nearby, but it's like our own marker separate.
So in that case, we would be drafting.
Well, the minutes do say we prefer to have an expert draft. it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what,
Yeah, we could consult that out.
okay,
So for clarity, there's a marker. And we would add a marker
correct.
that says that the person described in this or mentioned in this marker has these traits or something. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, you know, the marker, he's very much characterized as a hero for his aviation endeavors. This would be.
So when
To
you,
tell this story as well.
when you just described, we're recording this, right?
Mhm.
When you just described the speeches, you use terms like perceived and seen.
Yeah,
So that's where I get a little nervous.
Mhm.
I mean, I want to make it clear, I'm not anti-Semitic. I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
And if people are, I'm totally against that.
Yeah,
Yep.
But there are schools, there are roads, there is a state park named after him.
Mhm.
There was an airport named after him. They didn't change the name because of this issue.
Mhm.
I want, if we're gonna move forward with this, I want the city attorney to clear us, to make sure there's no defamation potential here. I don't want my taxes going to pay for a defamation lawsuit. And I still think it's a little gray.
Does it make
Yeah.
sense to reach out to the Charles Lindbergh Museum in Minnesota that you pulled that info from? On just like the background information, I'm sure of any organization, they would have, you know, some insights into this aspect of the person.
Yeah, and I have their contact information and from the Wisconsin Historical Society, and I've included, you know. What they have on their website regarding this controversy. You know, I don't think you'll find that they directly call his statements or him as a person anti-Semitic. They just reference the controversy and that his statements were perceived as anti-Semitic or, you know, widely thought of as anti-Semitic at the time.
I think Ashley has a good idea though to reach out to them because they could have other people have reached out to them regarding the same. Thoughts.
And I guess the next question that I would ask is, does this make us want to do a deep dive into all the landmarks we have? I mean, we're just about to go through another one with a name on it. Do we have to historically look at that individual? No, no. Because you search long enough, probably find some. Personally,
Yeah.
rather than I spend my personal time.
Yeah.
Looking at stuff.
I think that since this is on a pause, that we can't even apply for it yet, that keep researching it a little bit more is worth our time.
I mean, it's, if schools were renaming themselves, like we did where, here, right? What's ironic about that, I think, is it's in the city of Madison. we changed to Madison School. But I don't know if there's any, it'd be nice to know if there's any movement with these other, there's highways named after him. There's, again, there's a state park named after him. Or it's been, I don't know if there's any other movement from other organizations. It'd be nice to know. I don't know if I would want to be the, I don't know if
Sure,
I'd want to be the first.
and hopefully the museum may have
Yeah.
received the same
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
inquiries and, you know, these conundrums that people might find themselves into. I get what you're saying, John. I'm kind of pulled. I know that we've, you know, on the city council, on every city council meeting, there's always a part of the evening of the meeting where we, you know, talk about two things, environmental sustainability and DEI, you know, and those seem to be the values that the city really wants to hold up. You know, Rebecca's talked about environmental sustainability and landmarks and, I mean, just how that's a very big topic now at some of the conferences you attend, and it's kind of, it's a tricky, it's very tricky. But we want to do the right thing, and I know that we agreed not to remove the current marker.
I don't think it is a decision that needs to be made
Right,
immediately, since we can't even apply for it.
right.
But it's worth doing the research in the event this application opens back up.
Yeah,
And that's just one grant opportunity. There's also the opportunity to fund it ourselves.
Correct. If we were to fund it ourselves, though, then we would definitely want to do our due diligence, as per John's point.
Okay, so. Get some more context from the Minnesota Historical Society or the museum about other efforts to acknowledge as part of his history or to
Right.
rename. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
I guarantee they've been approached before.
yeah, he is known for that,
Right.
you know, it's. Yeah,
You knew that before this
Yeah.
came? Oh, I didn't.
yeah,
And
oh,
maybe they
Like if
even
you
acknowledge
ask the
it at
average
the
American,
museum somehow.
99 out of 100 would.
totally agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. So maybe they have a.
This is where I learned about it.
Yeah. All right. All right, 5D, discussion and possible action on 6204 Ridgewood Avenue, the George Nichols Farm, landmark documentation.
Yeah, so we took a pretty long hiatus from
Yeah,
this
we did.
effort. It was May or April of 2024 when we left off here. So we did the materials that were in that packet. They were fairly incomplete at the time, and we left out the hands. We're gonna reach out to the Historical Society, the Blooming Grove Historical Society, about you know, getting some more information on the Nichols farmhouse. This one is the oldest structure in the city.
It's
Really?
Wild,
Yeah.
hard to believe. Wow,
1878.
doesn't seem,
Doesn't look that old.
no, it doesn't, it's been very well maintained. So do we just table this until we can speak with Anne?
Yeah, or I'm happy to, in your absence, reach out to the Historical Society and try and get in touch with the property owners as well.
That'd be great. All right, great.
Let's see. Yeah, there's nothing else in the minutes that might indicate what information we needed. We discussed the listing as being the George Nichols Farm site.
But it was
I think we
not.
should change that. Yeah, the marker on the property reads the George Nichols home.
Yeah,
Sort of,
and didn't we determine this is his retirement home?
that's right.
Yep,
Where'd you get the photo of the plaque?
very talented photographer. I don't think it's one of your photos, it's actually,
I didn't know.
I was just gonna say, it looks very.
it could have been,
It was. That's why I didn't include it.
it probably came from Mr. Bernstein over there.
Which,
Didn't you,
The George Nichols.
It's right here.
didn't you do a lot of work at the historical marker database website to
Yeah.
get some photos?
this one is, says Gordon Broker,
Oh,
then there's a credit on the photo,
okay. On the website, maybe?
Oh,
on the historic marker database.
Yeah.
That you're looking at.
Yeah, that's what we'll look at.
Yeah. I didn't do that.
Okay, and then back in April of last year, the commission had asked me to review. To pull the Schluter Farm property materials next. Do we want to review a couple at the same time at our next meeting?
Sure.
Pull that too, okay.
Nice work. All right, I don't know if there's much to say about this next one, 6, well, are we ready to move on? Yeah, okay. 6A, discussion on notable Monona tree and tree preservation. This came up in just sort of a comment. It was just sort of like a passing comment, like, can a tree be a landmark? And if so, what was it? What would that even mean? A tree or a landmark? I know that the Sustainability Committee every once in a while gets questions like this when people have these gigantic, trees that they cut down. And other communities have ordinances to preserve those kinds of trees. I don't know if the Sustainability Committee would want to pursue something like that. It's also perhaps something that it's an interesting topic for landmarks. I don't know. But Thor, you kind of found out, you were gonna ask our city forester if he knew of any trees that were.
Hey, how you doing? Is it voting here today? No, no, you're not.
It's either at St. Stephen's Church or at the community center, depending on your address.
All right,
If
how do I
there,
find out which?
is the front desk open? Okay,
There's nobody.
online, does anybody know?
Hey, Teresa.
yeah, it could be online. I think it is on.
Well, which half of Monona deal,
It,
isn't it?
I have neighbors that have to go to the community center, so I don't know.
I couldn't find anything online.
Okay.
Just, actually, what I found online said that I would here.
The community center's right here, right?
Yeah, it could be a
Trucks
community
right there.
center, then, which is right next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give that a try.
Yeah,
Okay.
if it's not there, there's only two options, so.
Thanks.
Yep.
What's bad is when they switch it on.
Oh, what's happened? Okay. So what we had decided, as part of that conversation, someone said, why don't we just talk to the city forester and see if off the top of his head, he would have, a short list of significant trees in the community.
Yeah, so I asked him if he was aware of any trees that might have cultural significance or their species or age, size. Public or private property, and he said he was not aware of anything like this. That was his email. So I think it'll just be up to the commission, or we can solicit, from residents. If they think they have a really old tree, we could explore that. Anybody can nominate a landmark.
Right.
And a landmark can be
It can be
a
a site,
tree,
right,
so,
natural.
we're not aware of anything right now. It doesn't mean there's not anything in the city that's worthy of preservation, any tree that's worthy of preservation. We just need to think of how we could identify those.
And would that stop people from potentially taking the tree down? It wouldn't, would it?
It would require the commission to approve of taking it down.
Really?
It's kind of.
Yeah,
I think this came up in context of a conversation. I think Anne said something about a
wanted to
wayfinding tree.
Yeah, and Anne wanted to nominate the
Like
tree.
a Native American, like a. Like, I think just the concept of wayfinding is right.
Yep, yeah, there's this tree that kind of forms a W shape.
Okay,
And she thought it was a birch, and the forester said it was, I can't remember exactly what species now, it was something else that was an invasive species.
okay,
And we just don't have any
we don't.
hard evidence that it is a wayfinding tree, it's just,
Yeah,
it's in the shape of what sometimes is a wayfinding tree.
So I'm not sure there's any action to
I
be
don't think
taken.
there's a notable tree yet that we know of currently, so.
Yeah,
No,
Right.
no, but we could have the discussion of if we want to try and find some.
I think we have a lot on
Yeah.
our plate already.
yeah, I do too. Yeah,
I don't think it's.
Mhm.
If someone would like to take that on, I would go for it.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
Is there any objection to moving on? No, all right, great. Let's go to six B. Discussion and possible action regarding Landmarks Commission Chair term beginning in April of 2025. So this would, I believe it would be do you mean chair or co-chair? Chair, yeah. So chair would be also in April, like when,
yeah,
yeah, this position would rotate as well, or not, but it would become. But the point here is that the city council passed our recommendation to allow for a citizen to join the chair in co-chairing the commission for the purpose of a little greater continuity, because sometimes council people just sort of get their legs under them and then they're yanked in a different direction and put on a different committee. So one of the things that we could do tonight would be,
Teresa, I thought it was continuity and potential like expertise.
I agree, yes, that too, yeah.
I'm not saying you're not an expert, but
I-
right?
Yeah, no,
Become one.
you can say it.
No.
But you're absolutely right.
So-
Continuity and expertise.
yeah, the chairperson may be either the common council member or a citizen member, or the chairmanship may be shared by any two members.
Oh,
as
that's
the
right.
chairperson.
That's right.
We had discussed at this meeting if we wanted to you make it so that one of the chairpersons had to be the council member. And I think we settled on, we would just defer to city council. If they wanted to make that change, they could.
Mhm. Mhm. So April, yeah. Go ahead.
So we have to decide this first.
No, this is what
no,
passes.
this is just-
No, I know, but we have
Oh.
to decide whether it's a chair or co-chair or co-chair with a council or.
Yeah,
co-chair
so
without a council, right?
so in order to make that recommendation correct, yes, yes,
And it won't be our decision,
right,
to clarify, it is the mayor's
Yeah.
We
decision.
put forth a
in
recommendation,
April.
correct,
right?
Yeah,
correct.
Yes.
yeah, we can put forward a recommendation, this will be following the election. The mayor will redo, committee appointments and designate chairs and co-chairs.
So can I ask you, so we can recommend, we don't have to recommend,
Right,
the mayor can just appoint,
Correct,
got it,
correct.
got it,
So basically it can stay as it is already,
right,
and the mayor just decides on their own, or
or she could
we
leave it.
recommend, yeah, yeah.
Right,
mhm,
and there's no precedent for this,
Other,
if other people recommend it, that's what I'm asking.
The mayor,
Or would she like us to recommend,
I think it would be helpful.
be helpful,
Yeah.
right?
there's no harm, I think often just the elected officials
Yeah.
will make recommendations. Especially for the committees that do have a citizen chair already.
So Since this won't be happening until April, we don't have to make a decision tonight, but we also could, start discussing who on this body would be interested in having that,
If you are, yeah, if you want to throw your hat in the ring, if you want to chair, like this is really on the agenda to start soliciting interest.
Yeah.
Reach out to Teresa and I, if you want to, and we can, begin conversations. If you want more information on what the responsibilities of chairing entails, reach out to me and we can walk through that.
So I do get a little nervous with a comment you just made, Teresa, about well, we don't have to do anything because April. I mean, there are times where we don't meet,
you're right,
Right.
you're right,
I mean, it's less than 2 months away.
you're right. Would you like to, let's talk about it now?
If you want.
Yeah.
I'm just mentioning that we may not have another opportunity to be together.
Yeah.
You're right.
We might.
Yep, and to that point, our April meeting will conflict with the restructuring meeting.
Oh, geez,
So
okay,
like
well,
we'll have to
let's talk about it now
review
then.
down,
So I'll kick her off.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of co-chairs,
I do too.
and I like the idea of a council person being one of the co-chairs. And I think there's an expert sitting at the table that would be a good other co-chair.
Mhm.
I don't mean to
I'm with
talk
John.
about the elephant in the room, but
No, I think you're absolutely right, and that's exactly why we're talking about it now, because you guys are the experts and you should have more input.
I didn't mean me, I meant her. Just want to make that clear. Actually, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you want to say something?
I was just agreeing with you.
Exactly, yeah. Well,
So I would recommend that.
I have to say, I would also recommend
I
that.
already know everyone's.
Heard that recommendation?
Very smart.
Do you have feelings about it?
I like the idea of co-chair because one or the other can be present.
Okay.
I think there's also just having the council person to work with just
Yeah.
makes opening the doors easier
Yes,
to any
I
questions
agree.
you have, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the concerns that was brought up at the city council meeting was that if you lose that council person connection to city staff, it might hurt
And I think most commissions have a council person at least on the commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're
Right.
chair.
right, yeah,
Yeah,
So-
it's the commissions that tend to have a very specialized subject matter, like community development authority,
Right.
where you need someone with expertise in municipal finance. Those tend to have citizen chairs.
So do we need to,
so
We certainly
we'll
could
take
tonight
a,
make a
yeah,
motion.
why don't we
to
do
vote
that?
for them. And I would say, we don't know who the
right,
commission.
I mean, I might
okay.
lose this appointment.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
no, that,
So that's even more, yeah,
So we.
Like,
I
if
so
think-
it's
that
your-
could work out.
if it's
so
your
that
other
could-
half,
so
I
that
don't
could
know
work out
about
really
that.
well.
I mean, seriously.
Anyway, I will entertain a motion to, how do you say this? A motion for a nomination of a co-chair person?
Recommend,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would anyone have a recommendation? Would anyone like to say, I move to recommend?
I move to recommend to the council or the mayor, I don't know who we recommend to.
Mayor.
To the mayor, that the Monona Landmarks Commission would be best served by having a council member as chair, have co-chairs, one being a council member and the other being, can we put a name in that?
Yeah.
Rebecca
Yes,
Holmquist, be the other.
is there a second?
I second.
Second by Ashley.
Do I recuse myself?
All in favor, all in favor? Aye.
Hi.
You say aye or?
No,
Oh, say opposed.
no, say it louder.
Congrats.
I
You
think that's
recused yourself, do you
wonderful.
want the record to reflect that you recused yourself?
No, she did not.
I don't know, do I? I don't know, what do I do?
Sure, yeah.
Sure, aye,
Yes, that's fantastic.
whichever one I have to do.
That was painless.
See, you got it. All right, So
Could be.
last on the agenda, getting to the end. 6C, staff updates, numbers of things there.
I don't have any updates on the Frank Alice House
Mhm.
this time, and the National Register nomination is going well. Just in late fall, went through the neighborhood to take photos of all the properties. I believe right now he's looking for original building permits. I gave him your contact info to
He
reach
has
out
not
to
reached
original
out, he has
interview.
not reached out to the Foxes either.
Okay. So, he hasn't set up interviews yet, that means,
I have all the documents, so.
yeah, okay. All right, well. And that's all I have for updates.
Alright, I will just add that, there are something that kind of touches the next point, DEI, point. This Friday at the Frank Alice House at San Damiano, there's an event from 4 to 6 with, I think it's called Fire and Wonder, if I'm not mistaken. There's going to be large bonfire and small bonfires. Members of the Ho-Chunk Nation will be telling stories in the house, hot cocoa, lit walking paths throughout the wooded area. Hopefully the weather won't be too much of a, resistance there. But yeah, kind of cool.
Is that a city sponsor?
4 to 6. The Friends of San Damiano put it together. It's a no school days, so that should work out really well.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Oh, we do
I
have,
would say upcoming meetings,
oh, yes.
March 18th and then April 15th, which will need to be rescheduled if we do hold an April meeting.
Because of
Yeah, yeah, because of the restructuring meeting. I would assume we prefer Tuesdays at the same time. Yeah,
Sure.
just a week or after,
I think
okay,
so too, yeah.
all right, I'll take a look at the calendar and
Alright.
see when we do that.
I moved to adjourn.
Thank you. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Nice to see you, Ashley.
Thanks, guys.
Yes. Oh, thanks.
There
Are we not
is
recording
no one more qualified than you.